Hi guys, welcome to the video. So today I got my cracked Galaxy S8 over here, and today we're going to install and review One UI with Android Pie on the Samsung Galaxy S8, S8 Plus and Note. Right guys, so as you can see, I've already installed One UI on my Samsung Galaxy S8. So here you can see this is the S8, and as you can see, it works really fine on this phone here. It will also work really good on the Galaxy S8 Plus and on the Note 8. Right guys, so as you can see, I've got a Galaxy S8 over here which has One UI on board already. And first of all, I want to show you the update. So I want to show you how One UI looks like on your phone, and then we are going to do a normal installation part. So the reason why I want to make a review first is that I want you to decide whether you like One UI or you don't like One UI. Because if you like One UI, you can definitely watch this video till the end and install One UI on your phone. But if you don't like One UI, you should definitely rethink installing this update on your phone. Right, so that's it. Now let's start with the review. Right guys, so now let's start with the lock screen. So as you can see, this here's the lock screen. It looks pretty similar to that which we had on older Android versions, with the only change that the clock is now on the left. You can still use your old setup for the clock, which was centered over there like Sony, but this here is the new standard One UI look of the lock screen. You still have your phone and your camera over there. And yeah, so the fingerprint scanner or the fingerprint sensor is still the same, so it works really fast. But you can see there's no animation when you unlock your phone. Oh, there's a small laggy animation over there. Still, it's much better than the fingerprint which we have on the Galaxy S9 Plus. So as you can see, the S9 Plus is much slower. So this took like a second, and this here takes less than a second to unlock together with the fingerprint. So the fingerprint scanner still works really nice. It works even better than it does on the Galaxy S9 together with One UI. Right, so the system has got a full redesign together with One UI. You can see you have not new icons over there. The Samsung browser icon is still the old one because I got the old version on board, but you can see the dialer is quite different now. The camera icon is red now, and you can see these are all the new icons. You can see the clock icon looks different, the My Files icon looks different, so they've changed the icons over there. And you can also see that you have a new icon which is green for the calculator, and on the S9 over here you can see the calculator still has this old design on the S9, where on the Galaxy S8 we have a new icon for that. So if you ask me, I liked the older one more, but this here matches the design of One UI much better, so this is a nice thing. Right, so now let's move on to the notification panel. Right people, so this here is the new notification panel of One UI. You can see you got your rounded toggles back, which you had on Marshmallow, and you can pull down the notification panel twice. So, and you can see the main difference is here. So if you pull down the notification panel twice, you can see that your toggles are at the bottom now, so now they are much easier to reach. So on Android Oreo you had to go all the way up just to reach the Wi-Fi toggle, for example. And on Android Pie it's much easier to reach, as you can see. At the top you got your clock, which is much bigger now. So in Android Oreo the clock was really small at the corner, but now they have made the clock much bigger. And there's a big blank bar at the top, I would say. And yeah, so you still have your 3-dot menu. You can still change your grid size of your toggles over there. Still the same settings over here. And yeah, you also have a shortcut for the status bar settings from here, and you can still change your button order, which is really nice. And there are almost no new buttons, so the only button which is new, or the only two buttons which are new, is the navigation bar. So here you can enable or disable the navigation bar. If you enable the navigation bar, you will get these new navigation buttons, but they have basically got the same feature which they had in Android Oreo. But you can still enable the full screen gestures, which basically have still the same function, but you need to swipe instead of pressing on the button. So this is something which is really nice. So, the second toggle and the last toggle which is new is Dolby Atmos. So, Samsung has gave Dolby Atmos to the Galaxy S8 together with One UI, but it only works together with your headphones. So, you cannot use Dolby Atmos together with your phone speaker, which is quite sad, but hey, you can use it with your headphones at least. So there are 4 different modes. So the one is for music, the other one for voice if you do phone calls, etc., and the other one for movies. It works great, it's there, and it's nice that Samsung gave us a new feature which was only present on the Galaxy S9 and so on. Right guys, so now let's talk about the settings. So here you can see that the settings app looks pretty similar to the notification panel. So here in the notification panel we have our elements at the bottom and our information at the top. And here you can also see that our elements which we use are at the bottom, and we have got the settings label, which is basically our information. And you can still scroll up to get your old look, so you can see that this one here looks quite similar to Oreo, but there's another small difference. So the first one is that the icons have been changed again, just like in every Android upgrade, but we have also got bubbles. So you can see that the connections button has got a single bubble, but for example the sounds and vibration and notifications are in a bubble. You can see these categories belong to each other, and because of that they are in the same bubble, just like software updates, developer options, and about phone. So this is something which is really nice. So you got your settings much better organized than it was on Android Oreo. Right, so now let us talk about the apps which we got. So this here is a dialer. You can see that the dialer looks almost the same, but there are some small new things. You can see we have our keypad, our recents, and our contacts at the bottom now. So these tabs used to be at the top and now they are at the bottom, so they are much easier to reach now. But the way how the interface looks is almost the same. So the other apps like My Files, you can see there's almost nothing different, but you still have your normal One UI interface, and you can scroll down to get your information over there, and your elements which used to be at the top are at the bottom now. So this is something which is nice. So you got the One UI look in almost every app. But if you go to the clock app, for example, you can see it's still present here. But if you go to the timer, you can see that there are still a lot of elements which are at the top. So you can see the plus icon is at the top, this 3-dot menu is always at the top. So One UI is not fully finished yet, if you ask me. So there are still a lot of elements which are at the top. So for example, this clock here could also be here. I mean, you know, it's not fully finished if you ask me, but I'm pretty sure that Samsung will improve One UI with time. So to conclude, we can say that One UI is made for you to make the experience of using your phone with one hand much easier. But the problem is that there are still a lot of elements which are at the top and which are basically not easy to reach with one hand. So another problem is the volume panel. So you can see the volume panel is at the top, even though stock Android has got its volume panel on the side and much more at the bottom. So this volume panel is really hard to reach, and if you want to change the volume panel of your media or of your other things, you will definitely need to go all the way up and pull it down to the bottom. So this is something which is really bad, and you can see there are still a lot of elements which are at the top which basically do not match to the principle of One UI, and this is the reason why I think One UI is still not fully finished. Right guys, so the last thing I want to talk about is the recent apps panel. So here you can see that the recent apps panel looks quite similar to that which we have on iOS 7 from 2013, and you know, it looks like they have copied the recent apps panel from iOS 7. Of course, iOS 7 has also got a lot of elements from Android, but I still think that this is no reason to steal the idea of Apple. I mean, okay, the recent apps panel of Android Oreo was really good. I mean, you were able to see up to 4 apps at the same time without scrolling. It was really easy to handle. And this one here is even harder. I mean, you can only see 1 app at the same time, and you will always need to scroll in order to find out which apps you have opened in the background. So on Android Oreo, you were not forced to scroll between these apps. And I mean, there are 2 bad things over here. The first bad thing is that it's much harder to use, and the second bad thing is that it's even copied. I mean, they have copied it and it got even worse. I mean, this is something which is not a really nice move from Google, and I think that Samsung should not implement this recent apps panel to One UI. For example, Sony has still got the Android Oreo recent apps panel, even though their phones are already on Android Pie. And Samsung basically stick with the Android Pie recent apps, which, you know, are really hard to use. You may like it, you may not like it. I think most of the people don't like the recent apps panel now, but hey, I mean, you will definitely need to use it if you upgrade your phone. So this was my review about One UI. So if you liked One UI, you can now install the update on your phone. If you didn't like One UI, you can subscribe to my channel, leave a thanks, or leave a like if you like the video, or leave a dislike if you dislike the video. And yeah, so now let us install the ROM. So first of all, the very first thing which you need to do is to download the ROM on an external SD card. So you will definitely need an external SD card inserted on your phone, and you'll also need to download the ROM from the description of this video. So your phone does not need to be rooted. The only thing which you need to have is a phone which works 100%. So after you have downloaded the phone and after you have pasted the firmware to your external SD card, you can turn off your phone. And then when your phone is turned off, you will need to press the volume up button, the Bixby button, and the power button at the same time to boot to the stock recovery. Right guys, so this is the stock recovery. Now you need to wait a few seconds. Right, so now we are there. So the thing which you need to do is to go to update from SD card. So you need to navigate with your volume keys here, and then you will need to select this here with your power key, and then you will need to go all the way up until you find the firmware which we have downloaded. So this here is the firmware. Basically go there with your volume buttons and press on the power button to install the update. So this process could take like 5 minutes or maybe even longer than 5 minutes. You just need to wait. So as you can see, the installation process is finished now and the phone has booted. So you don't even need to wipe your data, so it will work completely without wiping your data. You may face to some issues if you don't wipe your data, but in the most cases it will work completely without wiping your data. Right guys, so this was the installation part and this was the last part of my video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it a dislike as always. If you have questions, you can join our Telegram group. The link is in the description below, and yeah,